Hey everybody, welcome to the Power Peace Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. This show has kind of evolved. I always said that our family was like a reality TV show, and here we go. You know, so I've got my faithful wife sidekick, little Poncho here, who's always a blast. We talk about a lot of things, but we have a blast. And then our oldest, Justin, he's a former Army sniper, 4 battle tours. He's like the mysterious cool one. And his wife, Candace, little alpha, just like you.
Mm-hmm. She's just like me. Yep.
3 grandsons. We got Jesco and Jet and Jacob. Sounds like a Western Jarrell.
Yep.
And Luna, who's next in line, a beautiful daughter in Vermont, lives with her wife.
Bree.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Then we got Cole, the next in line. He's our comic and a musician and a stand-up and an actor, but he's got this crazy digital marketing guru brain, jiu-jitsu. So, I mean, you never know what he's going to do. He's kind of my co-host when you're not. And then our youngest, Lena, who's our hippie spirit.
She's a soldier.
She is a soldier. She's like a revolutionary. Changed the world. So proud of her. So between all of that, you don't know what you're going to get. So, but we have a blast and then talk about powerful, gripping things.
Yeah, we do. We talk about things that really matter, and we talk about things that we hope are going to help others at some point in time in their life, and hopefully it's right now.
There you go.
Right?
Help a lot of people. Help us blow this thing up. Subscribe, hit like, share, comment, send us ideas. There's probably no place we won't go.
That's right.
I mean,
that's right. If there's something that you'd like for us to talk about, we've probably been through it.
Yeah.
So send us those comments. Let us know what you'd like to hear. We'll let you know whether we've been through it or not and how we made it out to the other side.
That's right. And every now and then when she gets a little bit crazy, it's easy. All I've got to do is do this right here, and then I'll do the rest. All right. Peace out. Come join us. Kit Cummings, Power Peace Podcast. Glad she dropped by. This is our family show. You remember Cole, sidekick, co-host. Today we've got another family member, fired up. Been talking about doing this for a minute. And this is our oldest son, Justin. And, we're just going to chat a little bit. I was thinking about, how we wanted to open up. And I thought, well, first of all, say hey to everybody.
Hey, everybody.
What's up? Currently 41 years old, our oldest, incredible wife, Candace. 3 little boys, just had a new grandson. So we got Jesco, Jet, and Jacob.
I didn't have a grandson. He had a grandson.
Yeah, that's true. That's how rumors get started. So, 3 grand boys, and one of them is 6 weeks, little Jacob, something
6
like
weeks,
that. Yeah. Sounds like Legends of the Fall. Jesco, Jet, and Jacob, Jarrell, Justin, and then there's Candace.
All the J's. We got too deep after the second one, so.
You know what's weird is like, even in our family, it's JCC. And Candace is Candace Cole, so it's still like a JCC.
Mm-hmm. He was very excited that you named him Jacob Cole, and your first thought was,
She was like, "Did you know that they named after you?" I said, "That's not
fantastic." I was so excited. No, Candace, her maiden name is Cole, which is cool. Cole. All right, so since we're talking about her, let's. How did you and Candace meet? You're going to dig Candace. I mean, we're going to have her on. She's a trip. She's awesome.
So we met, I was stationed in Fort Hood in Killeen, Texas. And we were going out to Austin. Austin's like 45 minutes south of there. And so met her, like my buddy that I was living with, he was always like hooking up with like these random chicks, and he would just bring.
Was he the dude that was modeled
yes.
good, just
Fifi.
great wingman?
Fifi.
Fifi.
Yeah, his name's Fifi. Fernando, I'm gonna call him out. Fernando Feliciano.
You gotta be
That's
cool.
an amazing name.
Right.
Hey, to pull off Fifi, you gotta be a badass.
Fernando Feliciano, that's a good
Yeah.
He was this suave intel kid that just like, anyways. We all lived, there was like 5 of us that lived in his house, but we'd always go to Austin on the weekends. And so he met these 2 girls, Amber and Candace, and brought them to Texas, or brought them to Austin. And like he would take these girls shopping and stuff, and just total waste of money, right?
Driving some kind of, all y'all had cool cars.
Yeah, oh yeah, he had a Mercedes AMG with like Lamborghini doors. I'm like, dude, you're in the Army. Like you're not making money to be supporting this Mercedes. Like I know how much you make because I make what you make. Meanwhile, I've got a Beamer also at the time.
Yeah. Y'all were living large.
Besides the point.
Well, you're going overseas and
All
what
this
is it?
tax-free
Hazard,
money.
tax-free,
Yeah.
hazard
Yeah.
pay, just
Yeah,
like
it just adds up.
single.
When you're living on like a little outpost, you don't have
Yeah.
anything to
And you're
spend
not
it
paying
on.
Exactly. No bills.
Right. Yeah. No bills. You have a couple, whatever you got, maybe a car or whatever. If you were dumb enough.
And
to
then
have
as soon
like
as
that
you'd
22% interest that all the new Army guys.
Yeah, and then you'd be planning, either come home for leave or finish that deployment or whatever, and stuff would start showing up at the house. All this stuff that you were buying was like, you coming home?
Yeah, I would get internet access and be like, oh, bank account.
Spitball
Look
that
at this
extra money.
guitar. Look at that piece of equipment.
Okay, so here was cool for us. This is a great memory. So we take y'all to the beach. We all go to the beach, and you're gonna bring your new girlfriend, and you're like 26 and she's 19, something like that. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was so funny because she's 19 and she's filled with energy and she's beautiful, and you'd walk down the beach and we would just kind of watch, and it was just like people doing things, and they'd go. And they would just it was like that. Am I exaggerating?
No.
No, she was that girl. And so we get to meet this little girl, and she's awesome and everything, and then she breaks your heart.
Yeah.
that
Broke up with me
fair?
while
Is
I
that
was
fair?
in
How long
sniper
did y'all
school.
date before?
So it
No,
was
but
like,
say that again. You were in sniper school.
I was in sniper school.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in sniper school, and then we had so I was in sniper school May of 2008. So Memorial Day weekend was while I was there. So that's why I was at Fort Benning. Then we were going to Panama City, so it's only like a couple hours. It's like it's a short drive, much shorter than from up here, obviously. But Candace flew out to meet you guys, and then you guys all drove down to Florida, and then I met them there. On the way back, she broke up with me.
Oh, snap.
Yeah,
Right
yeah.
after the
Yeah, right after the trip.
Awkward.
Right after the trip.
the beach story.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right after the trip, she broke up with me, and so
It was the family, clearly. She said,
Oh, it
"This is
must
not-
have
this
been.
is
must,
not
it must have,
sad."
yeah, it must have been. Thanks.
Yeah.
No,
My bad. I never
obviously-
really processed that.
Yeah. It obviously worked out for the better because she was very young and still like very
Figure
wild.
things out.
I mean,
I was
19.
deploying all of the time.
Well,
so-
I think about what I was like at 19.
George,
Absolute train wreck.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insane.
I think I came up on orders to Germany and asked her to come with me, and she was like, "No."
What?
And then I was like, "Well, we could get married, and then you could come with me." She's like, "Maybe." Maybe. I think there was a maybe. I don't know.
That's
But-
worse than no.
Yeah,
right.
I feel like it.
I don't know. If something better comes along, yes, but I'll pencil you
Yeah.
in. It could
But
be,
it,
might
it
work.
clearly worked out for the best because,
Okay, so
it was like a decade later
Yeah.
or so, or more.
was it 10 years?
Let's see. I don't want to do the math here because I'll take up the
Let's
whole
say it's
40
a decade.
minutes.
But here's what is the coolest part of the story.
was a
People
So,
will watch
It
me
was a
struggle.
you're 26, 27, about ready to get, she's 19, I'm
Yeah.
about ready. So
That's
10
what
years
I'm
go
gonna
by.
say. That's insane. About ready to get married at 26.
And,
Take that one back. That's crazy.
I want-
different generation.
We
Yeah.
got to carry on the family.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today. We are so happy that you're here, and we have some big news. Do you know what's happening?
Yeah, because you throw me in there, I kind of have to play along.
So January 11th, 2024, we are roasting this gentleman right here, the roast of Kit Cummings. It's all for a great cause. We'll be fundraising. We're going to be having food, drinks, live music. So mark your calendars for January 11th, 2024 from 6 to 10. Come on out to the Brickyard in Marietta and join us for a fantastic, fun evening of roasting this guy right here.
It's gonna be embarrassing, but it's for a good cause. Raise money,
Right.
make fun of me.
Right.
Good cause.
Right.
Nutty friends that are hilarious, comedian. I mean, it's gonna be a blast.
It's going to be a blast, and we
Well-
all have a ton of stories that we can tell on
And
it.
we're gonna raise $1 gazillion.
Gazillion
Like,
dollars.
go ahead and get all your wealthy friends and tell them come out for a great. Bring their little checkbooks.
That's
Silent
right.
auction.
Silent auction.
Pretty cool stuff.
Prizes and things like that will be done. But just come out, have a wonderful time with us, and help us to celebrate the Power of Peace Project's 14th birthday.
We name, bro.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So anyway, all of a sudden, were you staying with us? Because I remember one time, I thought it was you come down and your mom's like, what have you been doing? I'm talking to Candace, and we're like,
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you went and got married, had a beautiful son, good little period of time, decided, had to move on from that one. And then,
Yeah, I mean, she actually reconnected with me on Facebook, I guess.
you got another shot at the love of your life. Most
And,
people
yeah.
don't.
And then we were friends, on there, and just checking in with. It would be like a month or two would go by. I'm like, oh hey, how you been? Cool. New job, cool. All that.
Life updates.
Yeah, and then I was like, hey, I've got some friends along the way. I could come and visit you.
Come see
and
ya.
while I see my friends along the way.
And she was still living in Austin?
Yeah, she was in Austin.
Yeah, Austin, great town.
So that's how it happened.
But one thing that I have always super admired is, you had a little boy, our 12-year-old grandson, Jesco, and you raised that little boy, and because we watched it, and man, I mean, as a single dad, and that always impressed me. I mean, that boy was always with you, and you didn't even, after you were single again. We tried to get him to date. Can't do it. Got to take care of my boy. So I mean, it was that told me a lot about you. But so we met when you were 23, and we'll get on into the main thing in a second. But it was so cool because I'm dating your mom, and I meet you. You're 23. You were still a Marine or a soldier? You're still a Marine.
When we met, I think I was still in the Marines and like in the process of like about to go and switch over.
There you go. So you're with us in between, and we're like, don't go back in, but you're just like.
I was still in. There was no break in service. I actually signed out early for the Marines to check into Fort Benning.
Go.
And then my pay got jacked up because thanks government. Because they said this guy can't be in two branches of the military.
Well, I guess not.
We just won't pay him.
Yeah.
That's how that works until you get it figured out.
So we had this cool little summer is what it feels like, where I'm the new guy, I'm the boyfriend, and you're 23 and already way into your career. I was still drinking, okay, and so we became drinking buddies, which is freaking great, because it wasn't like I've got a new son. It was like, no, I got a new friend. And we would every night, man, we would get wise. We'd drink wine and.
Yeah, we polish off quite a few bottles, that's for sure.
See, that's the thing about my thing, and y'all know I've talked about it, is like, alcoholism part of my thing. I quit drinking in 2005 at the end of that year. But I wasn't a train wreck, wake up in handcuffs guy, and I wasn't tearing up the house. I was fun. I was like the party. But we'd watch Cosmos and get deep, with Morgan Freeman.
No, it's not Morgan Freeman. It's
Neil deGrasse.
Yeah. I never know which way to say his name.
So she's got this new boyfriend in the house. We're in love. And me and you would just be watching, and she'd go, I'm going to bed. I'm like, all right. And then we just solve all the world's problems.
Yeah.
So that was fun, man. We got this really cool foundation, and it's always been there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the cool foundation. So anyway, you kind of, maybe not always, but you knew pretty young that you wanted to be in the military. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, Mom says that. I think the real story is that one time when I was a kid, I wanted like a military haircut, and then I think that's.
You're like, I'm a rock with this.
Yeah, and then
she
I guess she just.
from there.
Yeah, she was just like, that's what he wanted to be ever since the womb,
And this is new information for me.
Because
20 years later.
I remember like my earliest what I wanted to be a doctor. Like because I remember saying I want a Ferrari and a Lamborghini. I wanted a Lamborghini Countach because it was the 80s, right?
Still is one of the sickest.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
I had the Trapper Keeper with the Countach on there, So I wanted that one. And how do you get that in the 80s? You become a doctor.
There you go.
Make a lot of money, right?
Okay, fair enough.
So that's what I wanted to do originally. And then found out that I suck at school and barely graduated high school. And then I was like, hey, let's see what the Marines have for me. So, and I didn't go to any other recruiting office. My buddy at the time, Philip, he was super gung-ho about the Marines. And I was like, dude, once a Marine, always a Marine, all the phrases, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, you're like every Marine's a rifleman. It's like, that's pretty fucking badass, right? Like,
Yeah, I want a rifle.
yeah, that's cool. You get to like do whatever you want, and you're right. That's awesome. Like, but the reality of it is, you don't have time to like be an airplane mechanic and also be a rifleman, because they're two separate, and you have to dedicate your life to one or the other,
Right.
right? To be
Yeah,
good
yeah.
at one of them, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
Did you go on tours as a Marine? Or
I
was
went to
that
Afghanistan with them in '04. That was my first deployment, and it was so boring. It was in Bagram, Afghanistan, and I was a ground support electrician, which means I didn't even work on the airplanes. I worked on the ground support equipment that supports the aircraft, right?
Got you.
Every once in a while, I got to ride in them and stuff, but I didn't work on the actual birds themselves. So that even sucked even more, right? Because that's
True. You're seeing it
Yeah,
where you can't.
yeah.
you can't
Like I'm over here turning wrenches, and like the guys that are working airframes are getting all the glory, you know. Whatever. I started that piece of shit. But so I would see guys like get all kitted up and ready to roll out the front gate, doing whatever they're doing. I'm like, man, that's what I wanted to. That's why I wanted to join. But
And you basically went to Paris Island, and then 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about,
Oh, damn.
right?
yeah, so I joined. I checked
I
in.
never thought about that.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
so and that was another reason why I didn't choose to be like an infantry guy or anything like that, because there wasn't anything going on at the time. It's like, well, what am I gonna do? Hang out in the woods?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, that sounds boring. At the time, I thought.
Yeah.
Turns out it's wonderful. But yeah, so I joined. I check into Paris Island July, I think 11th, right, of 2001. And it's a 3-month-long boot camp. I'm supposed to graduate October 12th.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So September 11th happens.
Wow.
I had just qualified the week prior, and so I was in team week. So during boot camp, if like everybody has to qualify with a rifle, otherwise you're not a Marine, because every Marine's a rifleman, right?
Yeah, right.
That's
right.
where that comes from.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually work after
Yeah.
boot camp. But so I just qualified. Next week was team week. So I'd already qualified. I qualified expert as like one of 6 dudes in the platoon that qualified expert, and like so everybody else. There's quite a few dudes that failed, and so they have to go back out to the range, and that's where team week comes in. So all the guys that passed,
Kinda
they
help them
like
out.
work out. They like I worked in the chow hall for a week,
Gotcha.
like cleaning.
You were
and-
doing nothing.
yeah. No, I was definitely doing stuff.
yeah.
I was definitely doing stuff. And I actually ate a bunch of us, so don't judge too bad. But that was the first and only time I've eaten breakfast out of a trash can.
Okay.
We were a bunch of recruits. We're all starving.
Empathy for some of our
Yeah.
less fortunate brothers.
We're all starving as recruits, and we get this opportunity. There's nobody around us, and we're like wheeling out like these fresh eggs and stuff that we just dumped out. They're still steaming out. It's a fresh trash bag, right? It's fresh. So like, why not? We're all like handfuls, just so full. And man, it was so great. No one caught us. That was like the only thing I got away with in boot camp.
I got a story that's a little bit tangential.
But hang on.
Okay.
We're going. This is where September
Yeah.
11th happens.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah. So
But hold that.
yeah. So 9/11 happens. We've got a couple. So we've got a couple recruits that are from that area. So they bring us all in. This is the first time they bring a TV in.
to kind of
Yeah, they show us like the news or whatever, like a
Yeah.
recorded version of it, and
Yeah.
then any recruit that was like within the area, they got to call their families to make sure that they were okay. And then after that was like the rumors started. We're going straight to war. I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
right.
you're not. You still have to like go to
figure it out.
your school first after basic training. This isn't Vietnam. They're not gonna like
Shit,
you
figure it
know
out.
load us up from boot camp and ship us straight to the jungle. This
Yeah,
isn't in that era anymore.
Yeah.
So, but that happens. I end up, doing my job and doing the electrician thing, deploying to Afghanistan in 04, like we said.
And that's when you got
No.
ripped. Was that it?
No, that wasn't that one. It was my second deployment, but that was, No,
And
actually,
all your other
my third
deployments.
deployment. My third deployment. That's what you're talking about.
Okay,
I was
so
a sniper team
That
leader
was
then.
Army.
Let's get to that. So, okay, you go in, Marine, 9/11 happens, you deploy, not really action. At what point did you know that you wanted to be Special Forces?
Well, that's what I switched over for. Whenever I went to Afghanistan for that first time and like realized like, hey, there's actually like shit to be done like outside the wire that I would much rather be doing than this. Like, I hated being inside. Like I felt like I had no part in the war.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah. And so it's like as soon. I mean, I got back from Afghanistan in October of '04, and then October '05, I was an infantryman in the Army, and with a Special Forces contract. Knee injury in airborne school sent me to Fort Hood, which is, there's no airborne or it's no special forces or anything, just a regular, just a lot of tanks. It's a armored unit. I never once rode in a tank. I didn't even, the infantry has these other vehicles, a Bradley. I never even rode in one of those, despite being in like the biggest armored like division there is. Selected for, well, no, when I went there, I was selected to be a gunner for this colonel's PSD.
Oh, I remember that.
That was my second
I
deployment.
remember
so that
that.
was Baghdad, and that was a 15-month deployment. We got extended for that one. Yeah.
What a trippy time, because we're at home and you're in Iraq.
Yeah.
And then you're sending us pictures of you, peeing in a gold toilet in Saddam's palace.
All being a tourist over there basically, because there was like all the pictures of all the palaces with like craters from rockets that we dropped on it and all kinds of stuff.
Trippy time, and we'd be. Well, no, this is when you go to the next deployment. Okay, so all the stuff that you wanted ever since you got that little haircut.
Yeah.
You're getting ready to go and experience it because you saw now it's time to start. It got real.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this first. When did you find out that you had a real knack? Because you're an expert marksman sniper. I mean, trained sniper. Did you always have that, or it just kind of?
First time I shot a rifle was in boot camp. I mean, I didn't, but I absorbed, like I was a sponge. I loved it.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is like Justin's one of those people that like anything that he gets like kind of hooked on, like you're just gonna learn it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It sucks to suck, right? Like everybody says that, but like, and I hate sucking at something. So
Yeah.
I was a sponge with it. Like, it's a whole lead up how they teach you how to shoot a rifle in the Marine Corps. I don't really know how. Like, even though I had to like do a little bit of like Army boot camp whenever I switched over, it was nowhere near the same in the way that they teach how to fire a rifle. Like the way that the Marine Corps teaches you from the get-go is a lot like how you would teach a sniper to do it. It's like you're marking your shots, you're correcting for windage. You're not just you're not just aiming
Curvature
over here.
of the earth kind of stuff.
That's a little advanced, but they don't teach that in basic training. But everything else for how to adjust from your prior shot and everything like that is how they teach basic Marines how to shoot a rifle. The Army, they're like, it's that way.
Yeah.
This is fire.
Fire.
It's
Yeah,
that way.
here's fire, and it's that way.
I'll tell you the thing about that you crack me up is the difference in, remember the dude that is out there trying to figure out where to go looking
Oh my
at
gosh,
satellite. Well, I guess we don't want trash.
There's not anybody specific. It's just most of your brand new lieutenants that didn't actually go to like a lot of them are like ROTC cadets that never like went through like a basic training process.
Which, mad respect.
I mean they've got their spot, but it's pretty funny when you got a brand new LT.
Get out there.
He's like, what is a map?
What is the? He started looking at the sun.
Yeah, it's like tapping the compass. Yeah, they're not even holding it right,
Now, as far as the cool thing about your temperament, one is whatever you choose to do, you master. I don't care if it's golf or whether it's video, becoming a videographer or whatever the heck you
That's
are doing.
when I really knew. Is after like 2 months of you just deciding, I would like to kind of learn film.
And it's just
He's
like,
like, well, the color grades on Adobe are way different than DaVinci. That's why I like DaVinci. It's got more hex codes.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
like, oh, he's
been
in.
at it 10 days.
Yeah, I become a data geek on stuff.
But you also
Apply
have
that
this
data.
temperament where you are calm when everybody else is freaking out.
Yeah, that's the ADHD part of of what I deal with.
Talk about that.
Yeah, so I read a book. Well, I didn't finish it because of ADHD, but I attempted to.
I started a book.
I started a book on ADHD.
And in the intro, here's what I learned.
Yeah.
100 pages.
Yeah, during the intro and maybe the first chapter, I learned this. Couldn't tell you afterwards. But no, it talked about how like the ADHD brain or the ADD brain, whatever you want to call it, is a special kind of adaptable brain to where it's like the average person who doesn't have it operates constantly on a 30%, like no matter what's going on, they're like at a 30% capacity. ADD people, it's like 10% or 100, right?
Okay.
It's like, and
I
so
feel
that like,
that's me, all or nothing.
Yeah, it is-
I'm
yeah.
not half-assing.
No, don't have it.
yeah, and so when the fight or flight kicks in for me and that ADHD brain kicks in, it's like hyper focus, and it sounds cheesy and stupid, but it is almost like a time slowdown kind of where it's a hyper focus. It's pretty
Because
interesting.
you've been in the fastest, most intense. There's no other situation
on the
than
earth.
a firefight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's pure
Well,
bullets are coming at you.
And
know?
yeah, and the first quite a few of those, you know, you're scared shitless, and you're just kind of like, oh God, I hope what I'm doing is the right thing, you know.
Right.
But like, if you're in enough of them, it's crazy. You're. I remember like my last deployment, it was just so kinetic and so violent, and by that time I was 42 months deployed.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like it'd been shot at and blown up already a few times, and like
Yeah.
all this stuff, and it's like, hey, we're taking contact.
Yep,
Yeah, it's
here we
over
go.
there.
Let's
We'll react to it, you know. We'll send this team.
Yeah.
But at first, you're like one round, and you're like, we're taking contact.
Like the rest of all the
Yeah.
normal people would do.
Because yeah, it's, you know, you get that fight or flight, but then you work through it, and you end up becoming fairly comfortable in a firefight, which is pretty advantageous.
Did that happen maybe third tour when you'd seen so much action before when you actually led
No.
Well,
So-
third tour was the first like real action, right?
It's kind of sort. I mean, still like nothing. Like operationally speaking, yes. Like I didn't take a whole lot of contact during my third deployment. Like as a sniper team leader, like what I just really didn't take. We did a lot of dismounted patrols, a lot of mounted patrols with vehicles and everything. We got attached to this mortar platoon who was acting as a regular infantry platoon. So they weren't sending mortars; they were walking around towns, and so we got attached to them as their asset. And so we just didn't take a whole lot of contact. But what the cool thing about that deployment was, we were the QRF for all of the special operations in our in quick reaction force. So.
Okay.
So like, and they do all their stuff at night, and so like if
That's crazy.
yeah,
That's fine.
like all their stuff is at
All right,
night.
all right, let's go.
Yeah,
Terrifying.
and I mean it is best because like we started doing. All right, so third deployment, we were doing a lot of stuff at night, mostly just walking around. We did a lot of raids, a lot. I mean or like one of the squad leaders for the mortar platoon, he learned how to pick locks, and so we didn't even have to like kick in doors if we were doing night stuff. He was picking locks. And
And we're talking about Taliban.
Silent.
Am I correct?
Al Qaeda.
Al-Qaeda.
This is Iraq, so this is Al Qaeda.
Okay.
So instead of like kicking in the door and alarming everybody, we'd pick the locks.
Sneak in.
But it's not like movie style. We're not like,
Yeah. You're just walking
yeah,
around.
that way. It's not. Like once we're in, we're like, okay, hey,
Yeah.
like but also I could go a million different directions
Okay,
with
yeah.
all these different stories.
No, I got it.
But we ended up doing a lot of like night stuff, night raids and everything like that. We just never took a bunch of contact, right? And we would find a bunch of caches, like, you know, where
that's
there's like
wild.
weapons and ammunition, tons of cell phones, ID making materials, wire, all kind whatever it is.
Wow.
We would find that stuff. And then doing the QRF, the Quick Reaction Force, for all the special operations that was in the area was really cool because you get to see firsthand. So I was a sniper team leader at the time. I was like the one that was, I would be in direct contact with those dudes and like, hey, what do you need from us? You know, and they'd be like, hey, we need you guys over here and over here. And then ultimately, we'll just need you guys to help bring whatever detainees we can't fit in our. So we just help bring detainees back and like, yeah.
So you, there's a couple of movies. The Lone Survivor story that most people know. He gets to the village and they take him in as part of their custom.
I watched all of that.
But we good, Mike. We all good, Mike. Come on over.
He was so cautious about putting those headphones out of the destroyer.
That was yeah. I bet you're glad that we brought attention to it.
Yeah.
No.
Keep going.
So, but they, you have to work with what would the tribal elder leader or whatever, and so you're interfacing, and you have an interpreter. And so the latest movie out on that is Covenant with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
But
I think you would really like.
But because you had relationships with interpreters, and even one that grew very close to trying to get his family back, whatever.
Yeah.
But talk about that.
That's that movie.
It is the Covenant, man, and you lived it.
So Z, my fourth deployment was to southern Afghanistan, so Kandahar, Afghanistan in 2011. One of the deadliest years of like the war on terror in Afghanistan. We, like, as an infantryman, like, it was the deployment you wanted because, like, we were shooting everything that we had all of the time. I mean, it was like,
so wild.
like we'd take contact. Oh, we'll send rockets. I mean, we had everything at our disposal, and like as an infantryman, that's nice to have because in Iraq during my third deployment, we had already reached the point that was 2009, and so that was like almost Operation New Dawn, where they were changing it from Operation Iraqi Freedom. And so you just couldn't do anything as an American unit anymore, really. You had to have a partnered unit, like the local, like either Iraqi army or Iraqi police, to go and do anything, and they never would. And so it just
weren't doing much.
Yeah, and until it was like QRF time, and like, okay, let's spin up and go and help these dudes out. But so fast forward to fourth deployment in Afghanistan, it's a totally different ball game. At that time, it's still very deadly. It's still very, we're still popping up new outposts that are very remote and very, like Iraq, it was crazy. Like the posts that you would live on are like huge. I mean, they're like cities, and you could go to like the store. It's like a Sears almost. I mean, it's nuts. I mean, you'd watch. We would visit these like big, they're called forward operating, but they're big FOBs. We'd visit these big bases, and you'd see people walking back from the PX, the store there, like with big screen TVs. I'm like, where are you taking that to? Like your tent? Like
You're gonna plug that in.
Get a little generator, watch ESPN.
Yeah, it's like what?
Gas powered generator.
But whatever. Well, at least, on those little outposts, you don't have a store, you don't have any of that stuff. But
Now, who was the interpreter named Z?
yeah,
Is that what you
Z.
call him?
Yeah, so that deployment, we had a couple of interpreters, but Z was our youngest. He was 19.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was 19. He was from Afghanistan, but he wasn't from like our area.
Gotcha.
But he knew the language well, and he knew English really well. He was just a ballsy kid. He hung out with like our lower enlisted kids because they were like the same age. We caught him smoking weed. But he was just a good kid, you know what I mean? Like he truly wanted like better for like the Afghani people.
Yeah.
It was like, and he wanted better for his family to come on over.
Was it the same situation?
That's what I was about
did
to
they
ask.
offer like a visa for
So-
him to help you?
He had already been, so when our unit was leaving, our battalion commander had put in, started the paperwork.
Gotcha.
But it just takes so long sometimes. And
Which was like what on the movie? Yeah.
yeah, it just takes so long sometimes. And so he ultimately did get his visa and came over to the States and worked as an interpreter at a higher level, and still went and deployed and everything like that. But in the fall of well, I'll get to that in a minute. But this kid Z, when we were partnering, like anytime we would go on a dismounted patrol in Afghanistan, we'd have to have a partner, our local ANA force. Well, we didn't have to, but it was advised. A lot of times we didn't, just
Which
because.
is the Afghani army.
Yeah, the Afghan National Army, or they have another, ANCOPS, which I forget what they're called. If they're not, it's not the police. They're like a volunteer kind of force that like has random outposts and. Yeah, we had to we had to train them and all that stuff. And a lot of times they were more of a nuisance than anything. Like one guy got shot in the back, and he's like hobbling over to our outpost. I'm like, dude, stop running, you're gonna die. And so we had to stop what we're doing to go and get him and then bring him back. New needle chest decompression because he had a collapsed lung. That was intense to watch. That was pretty cool. You train about it, but just like seeing it happen and watching Doc like, psst, and then you hear the hiss of the lung. You're like,
that's so weird.
dude, that's nuts. That's nuts. And you watch the chest like level out. It's pretty crazy.
See, this is stuff.
And get back out there. Don't get shot in the back again.
Put a little dirt on it. Rub a little dirt.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Now,
after it was done, it was just like that. It was like, okay, you're good. See ya. Get out.
Did Z get his family? I mean, it seems at one time you were involved in trying to help find them, like from the States or something.
Z had got his visa, but his family had not gotten their visa. And like, I cared so, like Z was a freaking badass. Like a lot of these ANA guys, the Afghan National Army dudes, like we'd get in contact and a lot of them, that's the only job they didn't want to do the ANA job. Like it's the best paying job in town, so they're gonna try.
Yeah.
But you're either a warrior or not, and a lot of them dudes are not. You know, despite their best intentions.
Right.
Like shit hits the fan, and they start dropping rifles and taking cover, and like risking everything. You know, not just their lives, but like people around. You know? And so. You just don't have the training, you know. Even no matter how much we train them how to patrol and stuff like that, you just can't train that part of somebody in it. It's either in you or not. You know, you're gonna fight or you're gonna fly, right?
You don't know until you get there.
Right,
Right,
exactly.
You
But
could be the toughest dude in basic training.
He'd pick up their rifles and fire back when interpreters are not supposed to be doing that. But he would, man. He would fight. He would fight
You
right.
have to watch the Covenant. It's your life.
Yeah.
It's literally your life.
And I always like
Based
when
on
watching those
Justin.
movies, and then I'll call Justin up. How real is it?
Yeah.
And there's a couple you said that one's real, but there's most of them you're like not even.
Yes.
Like when I see a prison show, I'm like,
I thought it was
Yeah.
funny, like, because I mean, when I was younger, we would watch like a movie together, and it would be, war based.
Yeah.
And they would, kick down a door and enter a house, and Justin would be like, "That's not how you clear a house.
yeah,
You
yeah,
gotta
yeah.
look left first if you knew like." what
He didn't get his corners. He said.
But his family.
Yeah, so his family. So fast forward to the fall of Afghanistan, and that was crazy because we had. I mean,
Is that where they're
was
chasing the planes and trying
Yes,
to get
and
that?
I was
whole-
like watching
What
all.
year was that? That was pretty recent, right?
That was
70?
2 or 3 years ago. This
Okay.
past August.
Okay, cool.
And so, we had, I just, being an infantry guy, a lot of your friends end up going to be Green Berets and other kind of things. And so you have all these little networks.
Yeah.
As long as you stay in contact with your buddies, you have this like awesome network around the globe, you know? And so when that happened, I just started reaching out like, hey, what can we do? Like I got a buddy's family is like, can't get out. Like they've already got the paperwork, but they can't get to the airport. They can't and if they do get to the airport, the freaking IED just went off and like, they just killed a bunch of people. So now and I was like, so I was fortunate I had a couple buddies that had guys that were over there at that airport that were like trying to run like liaison operations and just trying to work, like run through the different gates and try to get people. So I was working, it was crazy working like real-time intelligence, essentially real-time intelligence between here and Afghanistan and back to Z trying to get him. And then because I was doing this, one of my buddies reached out and said, hey, I've got an interpreter. Can you help him? And so ended up trying to help that dude's family. Like his family didn't make it out. Z's family did.
Good.
Yeah, so Z's family made it out. He had a little girl. And then since has had a little boy.
Did
but
you ever?
Z visited me
I was gonna say.
when we lived up in Kennesaw. Z came and he's like, hey man, I'm gonna be in Atlanta for a little bit.
See how cool is it really is the movie. So the perfect transition, because you said you're guys. I want you to kind of, I don't know, somehow talk about the unity of a crew that has been through hell. And some people said, man, what were we fighting for? For each other, for one thing.
Yeah.
But then, the support network that you've tried to maintain to help your brothers, because we know, the stats about, veterans dying by suicide.
Yeah.
And but I loved that when you guys would travel up to Indiana to the
This is Wisconsin. Yeah.
Wisconsin,
Yeah.
of the father of one of the guys you lost, and just party like rock stars and shoot 1,000 million rounds,
Yeah.
and just blow stuff up. And
Yeah.
But anyway, talk about that camaraderie, because I don't think people probably understand.
So like a lot of people that like most people that serve in the military have some sort of like bond, and when you get out and you start learning different terms and things, now we pretty much trauma bonded. We all have like
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the right
yeah,
term.
that's
probably.
trauma bonding. You know what I'm saying? Like that's Stockholm syndrome and all that kind of things. It's essentially, but you go through. Anytime a group of people go through some shit together,
Yeah.
they're gonna
Plane
come
crash,
out, they're
whatever.
gonna come out like connected. They have this thing, and so a lot of people that have served in the military, they have a bond with a lot of their crew, but if you've gone through like some no bullshit combat with a group of dudes who are tight, it's a different like it's just
Yeah, because it's life or death.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like it's a pretty tight bond for sure. And it's like no matter how much time goes by, I've admittedly I've fallen off of checking on my dudes a lot recently just because of my own shit. But it doesn't matter like how much time that goes by. Like you pick it up and it's like, hey, what's going on? Right there with you.
Yeah.
And it somehow always ends up turning into freaking war stories.
Well, that's what I was about to say.
It'd have to.
One of my favorite memories with you is when we were in PCB.
Oh, Chris.
And I think, you guys had already
Chris
left.
Gordon. Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. I think it was just us. Anyways, you guys were gone, and Chris came over on his like dope Kawasaki.
Yeah, it's a
bike or
Buell.
whatever
Yeah,
it
I remember
was.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't
But
there.
everybody was asleep, and it was just me, Justin, and Chris on the patio, and I'm listening to them tell war stories, which we don't have to go into the war stories
Yeah.
because they're absolutely, it's the craziest things I've ever heard.
Plus
But
it's
it's like,
sacred stuff.
remember when Sergeant blah blah blah, his leg flew like 30 feet and hit that building? I'm just sitting there like, y'all are so casual about that. What?
Yeah, it's a different. It's a culture, essentially, and then what you have to like the way that you're like you mentioned you're so casual, like you kind of have to be, because if you dig into it too much, it'll mess you up. Like I loved what I did, I absolutely loved what I did, but like I had no idea of like the repercussions or like the mental side of what it would do like after transition or whatever it is, like insomnia and just the traumatic brain injury, PTSD, anxiety, depression. Like it manifests itself in so many bullshit ways that it's
When
just,
you get here,
Yeah.
correct?
yeah,
'Cause
like
you're
when
locked
you're
in over there.
It's post-traumatic stress, like it's after, right? So like when you're in it, you don't even realize you're doing it to yourself because you're in it and you're in it. You still get the
You're
fire
present.
burning and-
You're more
right,
present
yeah.
than anybody on the planet in that moment, probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You
for
have
sure.
to be.
You have to.
And I do want to just speak on this for a second. I don't want to invalidate anyone's experience here, so I'm not doing that. But I feel like it's annoying with this culture of victimizing everything and adding labels to stuff. I know a lot of people personally on my social media that will post like, my PTSD is like ruining my day, you know, can't go to the grocery store today. Thanks, PTSD. And I'm like, you can't use that word.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about stats, what is it, 22 a day? Is it
Oh,
probably
yeah.
higher?
I don't know what it
More.
is
I mean,
now.
that's what we think.
You
22,
know,
23.
but I mean, it was at least a couple years ago. Is 22.
Yeah, that was the
veterans
number that
commit
was floating around,
suicide,
yeah.
Like,
That we know of.
yeah, exactly. And so, I hate hearing that word in a context of not being in a firefight
Yeah.
or watching your friend, someone close to you, die in combat, or exploding, driving over an IED. You know, these are insane things that your brain experienced. Like the most stress,
Yeah.
the most
Probably
fight or
on,
flight.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like, there's real PTSD. You understand the real.
Well, I think to be honest, I think there should be, especially like we know so much now because we've been at, well, now technically it's over, but this global war on terror thing, 20 something years, you know?
Yeah.
There's like, we know so much now and there's so many cases of guys going through firefights and then coming out and then like, how did they react to that? There's so much data now that, man, I forgot where I was going with it.
No, that's okay.
22 a day, PTSD.
I was saying, I feel like there should totally be a separation with the terms PTSD. Like,
Completely.
That makes sense.
it was like,
A spectrum.
It's like bipolar 1, bipolar 2.
well, it's like, okay, so you're going to the grocery store, insane car crash. A lot of times that'll give somebody PTSD.
Of course,
Rape,
legit.
PTSD, of course. Those are victims. Like that, the person that's something happened to that person that they are a victim of that. Like I loved being an infantryman.
Yeah.
Like when the
I
shit,
see what
like
you're
when it popped off, like
Yeah.
we're
Like,
headed
you
towards,
chose it.
like I'm headed towards the popping off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm not,
Yeah.
oh, look,
Yeah.
it's happening to me. No, like
time to do
it's
my
go
job.
time, guys. Let's do this, right?
Yeah.
And like it's like you said, it's a choice, you know.
Yeah.
Like every single time. And so I think it should be a separation. There should be combat PTSD, and then there should be.
I think that's.
Which doesn't invalidate, and that's important for us that you said it, which you should have, and that's a good way to go. But PTSD is a very, very real thing, and you're right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to get there. It could be someone, you
Our
know,
neighbor, somebody. This happened last month. She was luckily none of her kids were in the car, but she was running through the intersection. She did her job. Somebody ran a stop sign, flipped her van over. So now she's like having to. Now she's
it's
got
like
a service
hard to
dog.
drive.
Now she's got.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, now she's getting. Yeah, she won't. It's hard for her husband to get her to go to the appointments now because she doesn't want to get in the car. That's legit, real PTSD.
Very legit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you tell me right now that there's shit popping off in the parking lot, I'm probably gonna go handle it
Yeah.
again,
We'll
knowing.
we'll finish the podcast.
You know, but do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do
I'm
know.
probably going to address that. Like, I'm probably not going to run from it. I'm probably going to at least see what's happening
Yeah.
because somebody's probably needs some sort of help.
Well,
right?
if you are like, whenever we would go out to let's say a movie or a restaurant or a church service, you're going to typically choose where you're positioned in the place, not to take care of yourself, but to take care of an incident if it happens. So it's not almost like you're prepared and trained to be the guy that handles a situation if it comes up.
I've gotten away from a lot of that, which is it's kind of
Progress.
It is progress because now I don't have to like. That was very brief, like having to sit like at a wall and all that kind of stuff. That was very brief. I don't really care where in a restaurant. Like if shit's gonna pop off, I'm gonna be there. It's like it's
It's not like you can't turn around.
right, exactly. Oh, it's behind me. I can't turn. I can't turn around. Tell me what's going on. No, right, exactly. Just
But I
turn
do
around.
remember this when you came back. One specific memory is because you were in the middle of it. You're coming back and forth. you know, and so, or maybe you had finally gotten back and gotten out because of your boy. Your first son was born, and you just couldn't do what you loved to do anymore because there was a higher calling for you to raise that little boy. And but we're at a pool party, and we're just chilling. It's a pool party, but it's at an apartment complex, and there's somebody up on their deck. That's and you just kind of got, you know, just kind of not obsessed with it, but you kept your eye on that dude all the time. And tell me if I'm wrong, because you're the expert in this, living with this, which is a forever thing, is your brain has normalized something that's not normal for the rest of us, which is being in firefights all the time. So your brain has literally gotten wired for that. And then all of a sudden you bring that brain and put it in a very, you know, what we'd call safe environment. And your brain's still on alert. And that's a lot of PTSD. Would you agree?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's got to be something like habits. I don't, you know,
True.
just
Like awareness on a different.
yeah, like, you know, but definitely like that has significantly, like, I don't do that anymore.
No, I know.
mean? Like,
I know. You come so far.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I have a lot of friends that have served, and they're all the type that, like, if we're going out somewhere in public, like, they're not drinking that night because they're aware of the situation.
I got
You
responsibility.
know, they're not taking shots in the club. They're the ones, like you said, they're in the corner. You
Which
know,
sucks
like,
for
watching.
them. Like, there's
Which
no
sucks
reason
for
that.
them.
Yeah,
There's
but
no
like,
reason for
that
it.
is, you know.
It's the brain just
reality.
being kind of
Yeah.
programmed. But again, a great segue. You said, I don't do that anymore, or I'm what, and I said, that's progress. The reason why is because the, you know, however many years you got on 11. So are we talking about 2011?
I got out
You've
in
busted
2012.
your ass to change. You've never stopped growing and being proactive.
It's just hasn't faded away. It's definitely been like, I've been on so many different VA meds and so in and out so many different times to try this, to try that, and
Hypnosis.
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I actually just registered for something that's been in the news a lot lately. I haven't heard anything back yet, but psycho-assisted psilocybin and
Yeah, they're
ayahuasca.
doing incredible things with that. Yep,
So
yep.
Heroic Hearts Project is what I registered for. So I'm waiting to hear back
Good.
from them. But
As-
yeah. So and because they're saying with that kind of stuff, they're seeing like 80% of people are saying that their symptoms are done, like gone, like they're healed, like a new person, like that, like because the person that I was before all of like my last combat deployment was in 2011, but it doesn't shut up. Like I can't get it out of my head. It's like there will be some point during every day where I will think about, you know, some aspect of combat, and that's been over 1,000 days of just nonstop. Like it won't shut up. And so it becomes this like cyclical thing that you have to deal with, you know. And, you know, in a lot of ways, it's like how you guys are with your bipolar. It's very similar in a lot of ways. Where
We said in the last episode that we dropped on Monday, Cole and I were talking about that very thing, the bipolar experience, and we said we don't have the luxury of coasting in life, just whatever. We don't, and that's made us better people because we're hooked on growing. And I've witnessed that with you. I mean, it took how many years for you to get the government to fully take care of you? How long did that take? And shout out to the VA for taking care of you because you earned it. But it took a minute, right?
Yeah, but I didn't really push for anything either. I mean, that was really you guys pushing me to go.
That's true.
You know, because I was being stubborn. I'm like, I don't need anything. I'm fine. You know, nothing's wrong with me.
Which is the first step.
Denial. Yeah, exactly.
With mental illness.
Yeah, and so, you know, just it was mostly just the support support system. You know?
I will say, like, when I was going through the insomnia, you know, mania,
Months.
which was really hard in a sense that, like, I couldn't talk about it with people who had never experienced it because
Yeah.
they don't understand. And most of the doctors I was talking to was like, literally, have you tried eating a banana or like
Yeah.
drinking tea before
Yeah.
bed? Doc, I'm dying. And you clearly sleep well every night, you idiot. Can you give me someone that knows what I'm going through? Because this is insane.
Yeah.
It's
Even
like
my sleep therapist was like, "Did you sleep last night?" No, because
why-
you're not helping me. You like this is I'm paying you money. Help me.
It's like in Fight Club when he goes and he's like, yeah, just chew some valerian root. Chew valerian root?
Yeah.
Right on it. Knocked me right out. Best sleep I've ever had.
I will.
Cured my insomnia.
I will say that like Justin was one of the only people that was able to reach out to me and be like,
That is true.
Yo, I deal with insomnia.
This
This is
true.
what helps
Yeah.
me. This is what works for me. You know, not sure if it's going to be the same for you, but
Yeah.
here's some routes. Here's some options.
Yeah.
And you know that was huge, just on a level where I'm like, okay, I'm not the only person ever that has dealt with this.
Right.
You
It
know,
feels
other
that
people
way
know
when
what's
it's like
up.
you're staring at your ceiling at 2 a.m. Like,
Literally.
why am I not even
I'm
tired?
wired. Yeah, I could run. I can run
Yeah.
right now. That's why I would run. What else am I gonna fucking lay in bed
Yeah,
for
yeah.
8 hours? No, I'm gonna at least be productive.
Get up, run.
Just,
You know, like
just hope you go to sleep.
So it has been, well, I'll ask one question, then we'll kind of wrap it in a fun way. But the VA offered, a type of a program to help, with guys that are growing through this and dealing with this. And we saw a measurable difference in the months that came. Was there one technique or one epiphany or something that helped from that?
So that was Emory. It wasn't. They actually have nothing to do with the VA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's Emory. It's a free program to veterans.
Okay.
I think they have one. I think Boston, and then another one here. But it's like a 2-week intensive. Like I spent like 80 hours in therapy. Like
A
it was
whole
just-
2 weeks in a hotel, right?
Yeah,
Something like that?
two weeks in a hotel.
Oh,
and it
yeah, yeah.
was-
just every day.
Yeah, every day I wake up, it would be yoga every day, and then it would be just in and out of group therapy or individual therapy, and like all of these different. And they actually listened. Like, okay, what kind of therapies have you done in the past?
Yeah.
Have they worked? We're gonna try this. What medications? Okay, we'll try this and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And so, but I guess I learned how to like meditate, I guess, but during meditation, learn how to like I guess PTSD. What it does to a lot of people is just tears your like whole like ego, like all like who you think of yourself and everything. Like the majority of the time, I feel like just a shell of myself.
Okay.
And so I lost where I would go.
No, it's okay. They
weeks.
meditate, you're in there.
Yeah,
and-
so yeah, it really just the meditation and positive self-talk, giving not being so hard on myself, and
it sounds like CBT.
it was.
A lot
It was
of it is
yeah, it's
CBT,
it's
yeah.
exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Just be aware of
Yeah.
just pay more attention of your body, and then react to what your body's trying to tell you
And
to
that's
do.
so important. I mean, I experienced it literally 2 days ago. We talked about like the anxiety that comes with like the valley.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And I'm riding in my car on the way to jiu-jitsu, and I'm starting to think about some choices that I made like in the last couple weeks, and like seeing them as mistakes. Like, wait, did I screw up? Oh my God, not again. You're an idiot, right? Like already the chatter.
That's it.
Dumb, failure, you always do this, fuck up. Like I'm hearing it.
Yeah.
And then I was in my car and I'm like, this is not me.
Yeah.
You got
You're
involved
good.
in the conversation.
Yeah. Every time it works out, shut up. You're fine. Everything's good. And all it took was that like awareness. Oh, this is my lizard brain that tries to kill me for whatever reason.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Why is it trying? I thought we were trying to survive, but
Yeah.
you know.
Now, there's been a couple times along the way where having you with me probably kept me out of trouble. one springs to mind. So now imagine this. This is early in a relationship. You know, you're 23. I'm 41. Okay. And we get really cool. And then we get in this thing where we want to go play golf all the time because you always dug golf. Hole in one on a par 4. Shout out. I mean, for real, not me. And so we would, we'd have a lot of fun. So on a Sunday, we would go with me and then your mom and you, and we would have a blast and drink lots of beverages. Again, this before my, sobriety date. And just have a blast. And so by the time we got around the turn and coming down the home stretch, we were, good to go. And so,
Hard to see the shaft on the driver.
So if anybody has ever seen the movie Sideways, which is a great little film, there's a part where they're on the golf course and guys are hitting into them. So these dudes behind us were obviously better than we were, and they kept hitting into us. And we'd hear the plop, 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 and we'd look around and it's just like, but it wasn't close enough to where everything had to be done. But as we're coming down the home stretch, there's a dog leg left, par 5 or something, and so you hit all the way, and then you're on top of the hill. There's a little stream, and then there's a green. We're putting on the green, and all of a sudden, bam! This guy hits, and it hits on the green, drops on the green, and it was just the last straw. So I decided I wanted to do a sideways thing. I was pissed. And so I start throwing balls down and hitting them up the thing, but I suck at golf. And so I'm just shanking the hell out of it. And so imagine they're sitting up, they're good golfers. And there's a dude down at the bottom, and I'm just, the matter I get, the harder I swing, and everything's going off to the side. They probably find it comical. So finally I quit. And we putt out, and then the tee box for the next one is literally just not far at all. And so they come running down the hill, so I grab my 7-iron, and I start running. I was like, what's that dude's name? The actor Church, something, bunch of Church, he's hilarious. I didn't do as bad as him, yelling it's up, but I had my 7-iron, was walking there like, we're good. Yeah. And Justin's just sitting calmly in the car like, I'm going to have to get in a fight with my mom's boyfriend who used to be a preacher. And so there's no real where to go with that. I just thought it was a good story.
Yeah, that was a funny time, though.
That was a fun time.
That was a fun time.
I got a cool way that we can close this thing. Is any words of wisdom to listeners who either have a veteran or are a veteran? Of encouragement that you can give them?
Nope.
All right, come back and see us next week.
See ya. Good luck. I did my own work. You do yours. No, I'm just joking.
There's a lot of truth to that.
No, I know. But put the work in. You have to put the work in. Otherwise, it will eat you alive. You'll become a statistic. Because that's what it does. It may not be a disease, but it sure acts like a rotting fruit. Absolutely.
Wow.
If you just,
that's a way to put it.
If you don't,
Well, it's we always go back to it on every podcast.
We really do. It's a theme.
If you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah. You've got to put the work in. Whatever that looks like. Yeah, it looks like that differently to a lot of people. Some people, I've seen success stories and heard success stories about people going off into the woods and doing ayahuasca under clinical, supervision and then coming back free. And I've heard about people having a lot of success at the VA. And then I've heard about people just, getting into a CrossFit gym and then just punishing themselves into happiness.
Or a spiritual awakening for some people.
Church, there's all kinds of different ways that you just have to find something.
You just gotta try them.
Yeah.
Right? Until you find what works for you.
If you're not trying to find something.
You can't give up either. I think the first speed bump that you see, can't give up.
No,
you gotta keep
it takes a lot.
Yeah.
And the brain changes. My brain's changing in this new season.
Yeah.
As I'm starting to, as we say, climb the mountain, it manifests itself a little different. So it's like, all right, keep putting in work.
Yeah.
So, I want to say in front of everybody that I'm super proud of you. This guy came from me, has my DNA, and I love him. And I feel like, we share the same blood.
Thanks.
It's like that. I'm proud of you as a father, as a son, as a friend. I don't know if, I'm like more of a big brother, it seems like to you, and that's a compliment.
Yeah.
And keep doing your thing, man. And I admire you. And I don't tell you, but I talk about you all the time. I do. I
I hear it's weird.
I brag about you all the time. So
I do
anyway.
want to say congrats on Jacob.
Oh yeah.
He's a very new kid that just came.
Y'all make good-looking babies.
He is a good looking baby.
Yeah,
He's nice and chunky now.
Good-looking baby.
I'm not sure what his eyes kind of look like they could go both ways now. Not like cross-eyed, but I mean like either brown or blue.
We're not sure. Well, you're a true American badass,
Yeah.
and I'm proud to call you our son. And
Thank you.
And you know, same with you. I just come back and
Not
see
an
us.
American badass.
No, we got
Take that one.
true
Not
American
fought for my country.
hero, man, hero. So you know, hopefully this resonate with you in some way. You probably know somebody that might need to see or listen to this. Hit that subscribe button. You know, share this. Comment. Tell us some things that you got. And we're also going to start taking ideas that you have about shows you'd like to see. Because in our family, man, we can hit a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Shout out to your mom.
Yeah,
Love
I
of my
wanna
life.
say, you know, ideas for sure, but questions. If you have topics that you want to like learn about or talk about, or you think would be entertaining, anything, or if you want to be on the podcast, like we're growing this.
Yeah, this
So,
thing's
like,
going.
Hit us up. There's nothing we're not going to listen to.
Yeah, I know. Or talk
We don't
about.
know what we're doing yet.
You
We're
can't.
figuring this out.
Plus, you can't shock us. We're talking about mental health, addiction. Have you ever been incarcerated? You know, I mean, I feel like I don't want to live anymore. There's a whole lot of things we can do. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Power of Peace podcast. Mondays, 1 o'clock. Come back and see us.
See ya.
Peace.
Opens our eyes and changes our minds.